Hi, I'm Gavin May, and today I'm going to be interviewing Lucy Palmer about her bone injury experience. How are you doing, Lucy?
I'm doing good today. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. What events did you used to run, and what school do you go to?
I go to Bellingham High School and I'll be a senior this coming year, and I ran the mile, the 2 mile, and the 800 and track, and then 5Ks and cross country.
That's great. So I take it that you don't run them anymore?
No, I don't run anymore.
So that makes me think maybe you had some bone injuries.
Yeah, I did. I had two.
Yeah. So when was your first bone injury?
My first bone injury was in the beginning of my sophomore year, around September and into October, and it was in my femur, and I broke the neck of my femur.
Have you had any other injuries?
I've also had a stress fracture in my second metatarsal of my foot.
So those are pretty big injuries.
Yeah.
And what was the recovery process like with those injuries?
So for my femur, I was on crutches probably for 4 months, so no weight bearing, and then I transitioned to walking, and I was walking very limited just to get around. And then maybe 2 months after I got off crutches, I started the process of returning to run. My doctors made me stop that because I was having some pain in my shins and they were worried about further bone stress injuries. So then my recovery journey got even longer, and I was in the pool a lot doing aqua jogging.
So going back a little bit to before your first injury, what level were you running at? Like where were you on the team? What were some of your goals?
I was third or fourth on varsity at the times. My best 5K was 21 minutes flat, and I had a goal for the season to break 20. And I might have done that if I didn't get a stress fracture, but I think the reason that I also was able to get my times down was because I was overtraining.
So you had two of these injuries, and what would you say you learned from your first injury that you might have carried into the recovery on your second injury?
I think for my first injury, I was a lot more depressed through the recovery, and I was having a hard time staying connected to the team and staying positive because it was a really long recovery. Through the second recovery, I just was more positive. I tried to spend time with the team and do whatever physical activity I could. I tried to bike and swim more so I could stay active.
So would you say that your ability to recognize the warning signs of bone stress injuries changed after your first injury going forward with your running?
Yeah, definitely. I think I ran through the pain and I tried to keep pushing through, and I shouldn't have done that. And then with the second one, the pain of a stress fracture is kind of a specific pain you can recognize once you have one. So I felt that in my foot after a week or so of running, and that I kind of just stopped immediately, and I knew that it wasn't good, so I didn't keep pushing, and I don't think the stress fracture got to the same level.
So between all of these injuries, what would you say the hardest part of all of it was for you?
I think it was just the mental aspect of the injuries, because when you're on a team and you're running with people, you're with them 6 days a week, and you have every day of practice. So that's my social window for the day.
Totally.
And when I was just on crutches at home by myself, that was really hard for me to stay positive and feel like I was connected to people. And also just feeling lazy, because even though there was no way for me to run, I wanted to still be able to do something.
And then you mentioned that you were a little bit smarter about recognizing that you had that second injury. Would you say that when you knew when to come back also was a little bit easier for your second injury?
Well, for my second injury, I never really came back to running. I went to a sports medicine doctor at Seattle Children's, and he told me God did not make you to be a runner, and he told me to choose a new sport.
That sounds like a really horrible thing to hear after being through a lot.
Yeah, it was also a little bit validating, maybe your bones and your body just aren't made for this, and it's not your fault.
Yeah, and then looking back on it, would you say that nutrition or just your fueling in training periods played a role in your injuries?
Yeah, definitely. I have some physical issues with my gag reflex with eating, so it's always been a little bit hard to get all the nutrition in I need even when I'm not running. And when you're running at a high level and you're not eating enough for that amount of running and you're in a calorie deficit, your bone density is going to get pretty low, and I think that's what happened with me.
Definitely nutrition. Do you notice any other things that might have been a pattern that led to your second injury or both of your injuries?
I think just not enough rest and not enough strength training.
So just looking back on your entire injury experience, what would be one thing that you wish that you would have known?
I think I would have put less value on myself as a runner and tried to separate like the running part of me from the rest of me, because I think through the injury process I just like felt so depressed and so discouraged because I wasn't able to do the thing that I loved and that I put a lot of value in.
And then, kind of to build on that, if you could tell one thing to a teammate that's maybe experiencing something similar, what would you tell them?
Just really try to stay connected to your team throughout and the people that you were doing the sport with, because that is like a big part of your support system, and when you're not around those people it can be even harder to go through an injury and the recovery process.
And I know you mentioned that you're not really running anymore, but especially when you were, what did running mean to you?
I think running to me was just a way to stay social and connected, and it was also something I really enjoyed because I love being outside, I love moving my body, I love getting energy out.
Thank you, Lucy.
No.
Yeah,
Is that going on video?
I don't know.
No, I don't do
Come on,
thumbs
fist
up.
bump.